Hello and welcome to this week's edition of your Real Estate Show with thanks to Harcourts Tasmania, and a big welcome back and thank you to our sponsors homely.com.au and My State Bank. We love having you on board. Well, during the show, we love to bring you the latest insights and information from across the real estate industry. And tonight, you cannot get any fresher than these stats that are on the screen now from the REIT's June quarterly report. Have a look at this, would you? Sales up 25.3% on last year. Cumulative sales value up $952 million. And look at that, $1 million sales up 172.2% on last year. Having a bit more of a detailed look at the June quarter with 2,956 property sales worth a record $1.45 billion. And median house price $510,000 across the state, median unit $425,000. Median land, $186,250. So some very impressive stats there indeed. Well, let's get started with tonight's show. We're going to show you a special lifestyle property up for sale on the state's northwest coast. Well, today we are at Killynort here at beautiful Boat Harbour with Sarah Elphinstone from Harcourts Burnie. Sarah, a pretty special property you've got for sale.
It is indeed. It is a bit of a surprise package, this one.
Okay, so we're standing outside the main house. Tell us about that.
It is a big, beautiful family home. We've got 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 living areas and a view.
An amazing view. Now, this property offers so much more than just a house, doesn't it? It's a lifestyle or a business opportunity.
It is, yes. Yep. So you have the opportunity to be able to live here in this amazing home whilst, earning a bit of an income as well and having plenty of space.
Well, I'm going to take a look at the spa cottages and I'll see you on the other side.
Excellent.
We've come inside one of the 5 1- and 2-bedroom cottages to warm up by the beautiful cosy fire with views out over to Boat Harbour. These facilities are currently used as short-term rentals, but ideally they can be returned to Airbnb for tourist guests. Well, Sarah, the cottages are really cute, but this property has so much more business potential than just that cottage accommodation, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So we're standing here on the dining deck at the moment of the restaurant, which is currently leased. Some beautiful locals running it here. They do great wood-fired pizzas. Yes.
So fantastic business opportunity, and also 9 acres of land we're on with options for adjusting and other possibilities with the land.
Yeah, so there's roughly 4 acres of vacant land which runs through the back here. So you have some cattle, have some sheep.
Sounds good. Some Highland coos coming up from the fog in the background. I love the sound of it. If you're interested in this property, it's available via expressions of interest through Harcourts Burnie. Give Sarah a call. Yeah, it was a lovely little property with thanks to Sarah Elphinstone and Andrew de Bomford if you're interested in that one. Well, we've got a very special guest in the studio next with thanks to homely.com.au. Well, a very big welcome in the studio now to Conall Cassidy from Harcourts Launceston, the REIT Senior Auctioneer of the Year. Congratulations to you on that award. How special, given you only started in the industry back in 2019?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. It's a pretty nice achievement. There's a fair bit of work that goes into these competitions. You know, it's year on year, you're trying to get better at it. And there was some pretty fierce competition from some established agents all across the state. So very nice to come away with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. Now, tell us about auctions. What's the value of having an auction in your opinion?
Well, there's lots of benefits. Let's start with the sellers. So for a seller who's selling their home by auction, they could get to set all the terms and conditions of the contract. So what they want their settlement date to be, what they want their deposit to be. And then importantly, it's a cash unconditional contract, which at the moment is great. It means that once it's signed, you're not waiting on 3 to 4 weeks of finance for something to potentially not even come together. You have security and consistent timeframes. It's a great way to get all the buyers in a competitive environment to get them against each other, because we know that competition is the best way to get owners a really good price. And for your buyer, it's really nice because it's a transparent buying process, unlike what we have most commonly at the moment with the multiple offers, where you don't know what your competition's bid and you've got to put forward an offer not knowing anything. You have security going in on auction day knowing you're on the same level as everybody else. You can see your competition, you know what they're offering, and you know exactly what you need to do to get the property.
So are you seeing an increase in auctions? I know obviously mainland states, significant a number of auctions. In Tasmania, not as popular, but just 44 auctions across the state in the last 12 months in Tasmania. What sort of areas, I suppose, lend themselves to being good auction areas?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, typically, it's our high-end suburbs, if you like. Traditionally, what is seen as our good auction suburbs, because you've got very affluent buyers with a bit of cash to spend, and the land value is really high, which attracts good competition. But interestingly enough, the highest suburb was Elphinstone, of all places across the state, for the last year, and that's with 4 auctions. But then you've got areas like East Launceston, Inner City, Sandy Bay. Those sort of areas always attract good auction results.
And what about a particular property? What sort of property lends itself to being one for an auction?
Well, there's no set criteria, but I like to think they sort of fall into a couple categories. So the first of all is those ones that are in those high-end areas. They always attract good competition because there's not a very high turnover and people know how good the property is and the land value is. Properties that need a good reno, they're always great. Something that you can add value to. If it needs a reno, if it's got a big block of dirt that you could subdivide or further develop, lots of potential to upsell. That always brings in good competition. And then just homes that appeal to lots of buyer demographics. So you might have, your everyday sort of home, but if it's good for investors, first home buyers, downsizers, small families, there's so many different kinds of buyers that want that home. So that creates a good level of competition.
And for those buyers, let's give them some handy tips. What do they need to be aware of and prepared for when they start putting up their hand bidding war?
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting, especially if it's your first auction. I suppose importantly, the big thing is that you are bidding cash unconditionally. So it means you don't have a finance clause or a building inspection clause. All that has to be done prior to auction. So it's really important that when you find the property at auction that you want to buy, that you begin your inquiry straight away. Do your due diligence, get your building inspector through, make sure you're working with a really good broker so that you feel comfortable on auction day, ready to make good, strong bids. And on that, there's a few tips there. Often it's the person who makes the opening bid who's the one who gets the keys at the end of the day. There's a bit of strategy involved with, intimidating your competition a little bit, being a presence. So it's just important to be really prepared and knowledgeable going in. And just one other tip, often buyers at auction, they'll go, my maximum's a round number, like 450, for example. But often you'll find that there might be 3 other buyers whose maximum number is 450. So you might find if you can scrounge an extra 2-3 grand off your parents and make it 453, or perhaps that's that next benchmark that gets you over your competition.
The good old bank of mum and dad. Thank you so much for that, Conall. We appreciate your time for us today. Conall Cassidy there from Harcourts Launceston. Well, earlier this year, we showed you through an amazing townhouse development in Launceston that was nearing completion, and we promised you a sneak peek back through the property once it was finished. Let's take a look. Earlier this year, we visited this amazing 3-storey townhouse on the corner of Bomford and Margaret Street as tradies were frantically preparing for handover to the owners. It's nestled between 2 heritage church properties and it has transformed this corner block. Today, we were lucky enough to get a glimpse inside with one of its owners, Susan Stokes. So Susan, you've just moved in. How's it all feeling being at home?
Yeah, we love it. It's a beautiful building. It's very easy to live in, and we love CBD living, being able to walk everywhere. Yeah.
I can imagine, and as everyone's driven past watching this build take place into the 3-storey amazing home it's become, are you happy with everything, how it's all been finished?
Yeah, it's pretty magnificent. I don't think I quite realised how grand it was going to look. The windows are just so beautiful, particularly when you're coming down Margaret Street and you get that full side view, and the arches and the brickwork. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. They've done a great job.
They've done an amazing job. We joked about the window, saying it's a bit like going into play school. Which window are we going to go through today? But that's proven a bit challenging with some of the decor furnishings.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's been where they're full length, it's been easy to deal with floor to ceiling drapes. But yeah, some of the sort of odder shaped ones that are smaller, we're still playing around and thinking maybe tinting or that kind of thing.
And one of the interesting things during the design process, you took out the lift that was going to be across the 3 stories, and you've added in some more living spaces. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'd lived in a home with a lift before, and we just felt that a pantry off the kitchen was a much better use of that lift well space. Downstairs, we've got on the ground floor, we've been able to use that to make our cellar slightly larger, and then also give us a little tasting area next to it, which is something that is like a sideline business for us. And then upstairs, we've got a great office area. So yeah, for us, it was just a no-brainer.
Much more practical use of the space. And then obviously this home has created such a lot of interest, as I said, and there's plans for more development.
Yes.
That other people will be able to enjoy into the future.
Definitely. So we love property renovation and really comfortable with building as well. And we've purchased some land down the road and looking at doing another townhouse build. Very similar style, again, that sympathetic architecture to the heritage of the city of Launceston. And we're looking forward to getting that approved and getting that up and going, and then finding other sites where we can look at promoting this amazing livable city.
Well, it's really exciting. And obviously, you said you've come from Sydney, you've had a background there. What first attracted you to Tasmania, and what makes you want to continue investing in Launceston and the north at the moment?
Oh, we love the north. I think it was such a well-kept secret. The space and the air, and we love how clean and quiet, and that's why we moved to Tasmania, was to have a life change. Bought a little boutique vineyard out past Deloraine, and just learnt so much, and ran a cellar door and accommodation, and we've just sold it, so after 5 years, and it was an amazing experience.
It certainly is, and we're very happy to have you here in Launceston, so thank you for letting us through your beautiful home.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. It's been a pleasure.
Big thank you there to Susan Stokes and her husband Peter, who was a little bit camera shy on that day. Well, it's now time for our finance segment with thanks to MyState Bank. Well, an update for you. MyState Bank is a participating member in the First Home Loan Deposit Scheme, with new spots now available after it opened in July. You can now get into the market with a deposit of just 2%. So under the scheme, if you are eligible, you'll not need to pay mortgage insurance. That means that if you were to borrow $400,000 for a purchase price of $422,000, you'd save yourself $13,000 in mortgage insurance. So if you need any more information, you can speak with one of the 14 MyState Bank home lenders across the state. Well, that's all the time we have for you on your real estate show with thanks to Harcourts this week. Thanks for joining us.